Chosen one. Stop scrolling. Heaven has pressed pause on everything just to reach you. This is not a coincidence. This is divine interruption. You are not like the rest. You were never created to wander aimlessly through the fog of this world. You have been selected, anointed, and sealed for something far greater than your eyes have seen or your heart has grasped. The moment you were born, the war over your destiny began. You were born into fire. And yet, here you are still standing. Not by accident, not by luck, but because the angels were already surrounding you before your first cry echoed into the earth. Listen carefully. The angels have moved. Heaven has spoken. Your name has been etched on a scroll, and it is no longer a matter of if but when you will move. And chosen one, that when is now. Everything around you is beginning to shift, not in chaos, but in divine alignment. That sense of urgency you feel in your spirit, that is not anxiety, that is not confusion, that is heaven announcing your name. Something has been set into motion, and you are the key. The angels have sealed your next mission. The ink has dried. The next instruction has already been dispatched. All of heaven is watching to see, will you obey? Will you say yes before delay costs you what was already yours? The people around you may not understand. They weren't meant to, because what's been sealed in heaven doesn't require earthly validation. You don't need confirmation from people who were never assigned to witness your elevation. You only need to listen, and you know it. Deep down, you've always known you were different, that your path wouldn't look like the others. You've always felt like a stranger, even in familiar places. That's not confusion. That's a prophetic signal. You were never meant to blend in. Your life has been filled with evidence. If you look back closely, that door that slammed in your face, it was God. That delay that made no sense, it was protection. That isolation that broke you down in secret, it was preparation. Because a chosen one cannot be launched without first being hidden. Every wilderness season was for your refinement. Every betrayal was heaven whispering, you're almost ready. Now, the silence is breaking. The seal has been opened. The order is in place. This is a divine summons. Not for entertainment, not for curiosity, for alignment. The angels who guarded you in the night are now ready to walk beside you in the light. But they cannot move again until you do. Because this next assignment is conditional on your obedience. Chosen one. This mission is not about your comfort. It's about the kingdom. You are being summoned, not requested. You are being activated, not invited. There is no plan B. You were not chosen as a backup. You are plan A. And now, the heavens are roaring with one word: move. Delay is not just dangerous, it's disobedience. You are carrying answers for people who don't even know your name yet. There are souls bound in darkness, whose freedom is tied to your yes. There are regions, bloodlines, and generations waiting on the sound of your footsteps, and heaven is waiting too. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are perfectly positioned for what's next. But you must choose, and you must choose now. Because while grace is beautiful, it does not last forever. The trumpet is sounding over your spirit. Can you feel it? The delay has already cost you enough. Missed doors, missed moments. But mercy, sweet mercy, held back the consequences. Until now, because now, the window is opening again. And this time, If you hesitate, it won't just affect you. It will affect everything and everyone connected to your obedience. You are standing in the middle of a supernatural threshold. One more yes will shift everything, but hesitation will create spiritual interference. The angels can only war for what you are willing to walk into. You must agree with heaven for heaven to agree with earth. As we read in Isaiah chapter 43, verse 2, "When you walk through fire, you will not be burned." God didn't promise you a path without pressure. He promised presence in the pressure, and the same God who preserved you in the past is now promoting you into purpose. But purpose demands participation. This next season won't be handed to you. It must be stepped into. Don't wait for another sign. This message is the sign. The war over your soul was loud, but the voice of destiny is louder. This isn't about hype, this is about heaven. And heaven is calling you to rise. The scroll has been opened. Your name is glowing on the pages. The seal is divine. The mission is sacred. And the next move belongs to you. Chosen one. If your spirit is stirred, don't ignore it. Comment 777 below as a prophetic confirmation that you receive this word and step into alignment. Heaven is watching. The angels are listening. This is not just another moment. This is your moment. While the world was sleeping, while the noise of life drowned out the whispers of eternity, something happened in the unseen realm. Chosen one. The seal was set while you slept. Heaven didn't wait for your alarm clock. Angels moved in silence. The scroll bearing your name was dipped in fire and sealed by the breath of God. And now, that seal is burning in the spirit, waiting to be broken open by your obedience. There are realms where time bends to the will of God. And in one of those realms, your name was spoken with divine finality, not with uncertainty, not with delay, with authority, as one marked, not just called, sealed, not just seen. You are not entering this season as a candidate. You are entering as the assigned. Your steps were ordered before your feet ever touched the earth. You were woven with intentionality, not accident. You were predestined for this hour. And that predestination was not passive. It was explosive. The kind of calling that disturbs darkness before it even manifests. That's why you felt resistance before revelation. That's why certain things attacked you before you ever had language for what was inside you. The seal was not man-made. It was angelic. And once heaven seals something, no devil in hell can unseal it. But here is the tension. The seal marks what is yours, it does not automatically deliver it. You still must rise. You still must move. The seal is the evidence. Your obedience is the key. While others slept peacefully, unaware of the spiritual shifts occurring around them, you were being visited. Angels stood guard over your bed. Dreams you didn't fully understand were actually divine transactions. The heaviness you woke up with some mornings wasn't depression. It was the weight of destiny resting on your chest. Your soul was catching up with what your spirit already knew. The next phase has begun. And yes, it's terrifying to carry something this weighty. Yes, it's disorienting to feel chosen while feeling unprepared. But let this echo in your bones. God doesn't consult your confidence before releasing your calling. He seals you while you're still wrestling. He marks you while you're still limping. You're not late. Chosen one. You're on time. Sealed in spirit and soon to be revealed in power. Do you remember the nights you couldn't sleep for no reason? The sudden urges to pray at 3 a.m., the visions that seemed random, that wasn't coincidence. That was divine awakening. The seal was pressing through the veil of your ordinary to remind you, you are anything but ordinary. The world wants you distracted. The enemy wants you asleep. But God, He moved while you rested. Because what is sealed in heaven will interrupt earth when the hour strikes. Paul reminds us in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 6, God raised us up with Christ and seated us with Him in the heavenly realms. You were elevated before you were ever celebrated. You were seated in authority before anyone on earth recognized your value. And now, the seal of heaven is unlocking divine instructions, and they're specifically encoded for your spirit to interpret. That's why no one else understands what you're carrying. They weren't designed to. You've been sealed for this next phase, not because you're qualified, but because you're surrendered. God doesn't need the polished. He needs the willing. And while others are still trying to be impressive, you are called to be impactful. The angels moved while you rested, because this move is not about striving, it's about surrender. The weight of this mission can feel suffocating until you realize it's not pressure, it's presence. What you carry is holy, sacred, fire-wrapped instruction that burns through illusion and pierces darkness. That seal is not decorative, it's dangerous. Because once you walk in what you've been sealed for, atmospheres will shift, principalities will tremble, and everything God spoke over you in silence will become visible in the open. He didn't seal you to sit still. He sealed you to send you. Let this truth settle into your spirit, even in your lowest moments. You were still the one, even in your weakness. You were still chosen, even when you questioned it all. Heaven never removed the seal, because this isn't about how you feel. This is about what God fixed eternally, irreversibly. The same angels that sealed your mission are now standing with their swords drawn. They are waiting, watching, hovering at the edge of heaven's gates, ready to accompany you the moment you align. But they will not override your will. The seal gives you access. The yes gives you permission. And now, chosen one, the time has come to recognize that what was decided in the spirit must be walked out in the natural. The seal wasn't just a sign, it was a charge. You carry heaven's instructions within you. The mission isn't near, it's already begun. The question is no longer, will I be chosen? The question is, will I respond to what's already mine? The seal burns. The scroll is alive. The call is holy. This is not just your moment, this is your mantle. Walk in it, chosen one. Listen closely. There is a war unfolding in the spirit realm, and your hesitation is costing territory. This isn't a warning wrapped in fear. It's a revelation clothed in fire. The cost of delay is catastrophic. Not someday. Not in theory. Now, heaven has moved. The seal is active. The angels are in position. But earth is still waiting for you to rise. Every second you hesitate, something meant to be redeemed slips deeper into decay. You were never called to be passive. You were called to disrupt, to take dominion, to establish the atmosphere of heaven on earth. But delay disrupts the flow of divine instruction. Delay disrespects the seal that was set in fire. Chosen one. This isn't just about you. Delay doesn't only impact your blessings, it endangers your assignments. There are people assigned to the sound of your voice. There are destinies waiting on the echo of your obedience. Every moment you delay, something divine goes undispatched. The scrolls are sealed. Yes, But delivery demands movement. Heaven is not casual about your calling. That divine urgency pressing on your chest is a countdown, a spiritual clock that has been ticking since the moment you were sent to this earth. Not just to exist, but to execute. Your life is not just about survival. It's about assignment. And that assignment is time-sensitive. What you fail to occupy, darkness will attempt to possess. Delay gives demons legal ground to trespass. That hesitation to move, it opens doors not only to stagnation, but to substitution. Don't be replaced. There are no backups in the kingdom, only those who forfeited their seats through prolonged delay. You don't have time to wrestle with fear when people are waiting to be delivered by your yes. The enemy thrives in the gray space between instruction and obedience. That space is where compromise is born. That space is where spiritual authority leaks. The longer you linger, the weaker your voice becomes. Not because God changes his mind, but because disobedience changes your sensitivity. When you delay, your spiritual discernment dims, your fire dulls, and the instructions that were once clear become distorted. Don't confuse God's silence with approval. Sometimes, the silence is judgment in disguise. Mercy delays the consequence, but only for a time. Delay too long, and the silence becomes permanent. Heaven is not obligated to keep repeating what you were already told in clarity. Obedience keeps the signal strong. Disobedience causes the transmission to fade. It was declared in Luke chapter 10, verse 19, "I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions." You carry authority, but unused authority becomes dormant power. It doesn't vanish, but it also doesn't activate without movement. What good is a sealed scroll if it remains unopened? What good is divine instruction if it is never implemented? Delay is deceptive. It feels like patience. It feels like wisdom. But in the spirit, delay often disguises disobedience. The enemy will whisper, "Wait a little longer." But God says, "Move when I speak." The cost of delay is not just lost time, it's lost territory. You've already missed some things. You know that. Opportunities that passed, doors that shut. But the mercy of God has reopened this window. Don't let fear disguise itself as caution. Don't let overthinking strangle divine obedience. Chosen one, you were born for such a time as this. The seal proves it. The fire around you confirms it. Your resistance to delay is the difference between impact and irrelevance. The longer you sit on your scroll, the dimmer your assignment becomes in the realm of heaven. Move while the light is still shining. Move while the angels are still circling. Move while the atmosphere is still responsive to your yes. Every instruction you ignore becomes a weight you carry. Delay is not peace. It's pressure disguised as safety. But that pressure will turn into pain if you wait too long. Don't allow delay to become your downfall. Move when heaven moves. Shift when the Spirit stirs. And know this, obedience now will open doors you didn't even know were shut. What you think you're delaying, you're actually denying, and what you deny today may not be available tomorrow. Comment, "I will move," because your agreement in the natural activates what's been sealed in the spirit. Chosen one, you've felt the sting of rejection more times than you can count. The doors that closed in your face, the voices that doubted your worth, the rooms that never made space for your presence, none of it was accidental. It wasn't personal rejection. It was divine redirection. Because you weren't called to fit in. You were called to disrupt from your earliest days. There was something different about you. You didn't think the same. You didn't see the world like others did. While they chased comfort, you longed for purpose. While they compromised, something inside you resisted. That something was the seal, that mark on your life that made conformity impossible. And every time you tried to blend in, heaven resisted your efforts because blending in would bury what you carry. You've walked through seasons where you questioned everything. Why don't I belong? Why does my journey feel harder than everyone else's? Why does God feel silent when I need him loudest? These weren't signs of abandonment. They were signs of calling. Because those who carry oil must walk paths that crush them, not to destroy, but to extract. You are oil-bearing, glory-marked, assignment sealed. And because of that, your life will always look different. The rejection wasn't punishment. It was preservation. God removed you from places that would have diluted your destiny. He closed doors that would have applauded your gift, but assassinated your soul. You weren't created to be tolerated. You were crafted to be sent. Sent into spaces others would avoid. Sent with fire in your voice and light in your eyes. But before you could be sent, you had to be separated. That separation hurt. It isolated you. It made you question your worth. But heaven was whispering, you are not one of many. You are one of one. You carry an anointing that cannot be compromised. That's why the path has felt so narrow. Wide roads are for the masses, but yours was carved by angels. And those tears you cried alone, they watered the soil of your future. Every lonely night, every uncelebrated victory, every unseen battle, they were counted. And they were necessary, because fitting in would have suffocated your roar. David wasn't crowned in the palace. He was chosen in obscurity. Joseph was anointed through betrayal. Esther was prepared in silence. The pattern of the chosen is always marked by isolation before elevation. You're not behind, you're hidden. But hiddenness is not invisibility, it's incubation. What God is building in you cannot be exposed too early. The rejection preserved your purity. The separation protected your authority. The silence trained your ears to recognize heaven's whisper. And now, that training is about to become public. The call is not to fit, it's to lead. To shift atmospheres, to break cycles, to walk into places and bring divine disruption. That's why you've never been able to settle. That's why compromise left you empty. You were born to carry answers, not echoes. Paul reminds us in Romans chapter 12, verse 2, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. This world rewards similarity, but the kingdom responds to surrender. You are not being asked to adapt. You are being commanded to arise. The time of blending is over. The season of shrinking has expired. You were never meant to fit in because you were called to reign. You won't be understood by everyone, and that's okay. Understanding is not a prerequisite for impact. The ones assigned to your voice will recognize the sound, but they can't find you if you're hiding. They can't follow you if you're still dimming your light. Chosen one. Your difference is your weapon. Your uniqueness is your assignment. Stop apologizing for the fire in your bones. Stop shrinking to make others comfortable. Stop explaining what was divinely implanted. You are not intimidating, you are awakening. And those who fear your light were never meant to walk in it. There is a generation waiting for someone bold enough to be fully themselves, sealed, set apart, and unapologetic. You are that someone. You were never called to fit in. You were born to stand out. Chosen one. The atmosphere is shifting. Do you feel it? Not just in the world around you, but in the realm within you. The winds of the prophetic are stirring again. Ancient scrolls are unraveling. There is a sound rising in the spirit, the sound of the prophets awakening. And you, too, must rise. Not tomorrow, not eventually. Now, there is a wave of activation surging across the earth. God is raising up voices, not echoes, messengers, not performers, carriers of revelation, not content. This is not the era of the famous, it is the hour of the faithful, the ones heaven can trust to speak what others fear, to walk where others hesitate, to go when others stay. You were born for this prophetic current, but waves don't wait for indecision. Either you ride them or you're drowned by them. Chosen one, you must rise into your place. This next phase is not about waiting for another confirmation. It's about awakening to the reality that you are the confirmation. You carry the word. You are the message. You are the very proof that prophecy is living, breathing, and moving in our time. The Spirit of the Lord is looking for willing vessels, not polished resumes. And you, marked by fire and refined by trial, are exactly what heaven is looking for. The same Spirit that whispered to Moses, stirred Jeremiah, ignited Elijah now stirs in you. You may not have a title, you may not have a platform, but you have a pulse, a prophecy, and a promise. And that's more than enough. Because when God sends, He also equips. When He calls, He also covers. Every delay in your life wasn't a denial. It was a divine delay to align you with this exact wave. Prophetic moments are time-sensitive. When they open, they create portals of acceleration. When they close, they often don't return in the same form. You are standing in a portal right now. A moment where destiny brushes against time and demands a response. You've sensed it already. The dreams becoming sharper. The convictions hitting deeper. The world growing louder, while your spirit grows quieter, seeking something more. That is the divine discontent of a prophet stirring, that holy ache that won't be silenced by routine or success. You weren't created for commonality. You were created to carry revelation. Do not mistake this for emotional hype. What you're feeling is real. The heavens are rumbling. The Spirit is hovering. The call is real. The mission is weighty, but you are ready. You were built for pressure. That's why the fire didn't consume you. That's why the loneliness didn't break you. That's why you're still here, not barely, but boldly. Every word you've received wasn't just for comfort, it was for construction. Your spirit has been formed to hold prophetic fire. And now, you must use it. You must speak. You must declare. Even when your voice shakes, even when the room resists. Because the message is not yours, it belongs to the King. And the King is speaking again. As the prophet Amos declared in chapter 3, verse 7, surely the sovereign Lord does nothing without revealing his plan to his servants, the prophets. End quote. You are not walking blindly. You are being entrusted with strategy, with timing, with utterance. But this is not a solo journey. Prophets sharpen prophets. Fear. Ignite fear. That's why you must stay connected, not just spiritually, but communally. This is the moment to align with other sealed ones, to walk with those who burn like you do. And if this message stirs your fire, don't keep it to yourself. There is someone else out there, a sealed one, a sent one, who's waiting for this exact word to awaken their spirit. Share it. Let your obedience become someone else's ignition. Like it not for validation, but as a sign that you're in agreement with what heaven is saying. Subscribe, not out of habit, but because this is where your clarity is being restored, week by week. And if you feel led, sow into the word, not because God needs your money, but because honor creates access. This isn't about building brands. It's about building the remnant. The few who burn brighter than the world can comprehend. The few who feel deeply, discern quickly, and speak boldly. And you, yes, you are one of them. A prophet rising in the ruins, a voice in the wilderness, a torchbearer for a generation that has grown numb to noise but is starving for truth. Chosen one. The prophets are stirring, so must you. There comes a sacred moment in every chosen one's life when the scroll is no longer hidden. It does not descend in a thunderclap nor arrive in the mail. No, it is revealed quietly but powerfully. Spirit to spirit. When heaven decides that waiting must end, that moment is now. The angels have handed over the sealed assignment. And your name, yes, your name is carved in fire upon it. You are not scrolling by chance. You've been summoned by divine precision. Chosen one. This is not poetic language. This is prophetic reality. There is a scroll written before the foundations of the world with your mission, your timelines, and your territories encoded within. It contains heaven's blueprint for your life. The angels have waited until this very moment to open it before you. You may not see it with your eyes, but your spirit recognizes the weight of it. The trembling inside you isn't fear, it's reverence. Your scroll has been unsealed. This scroll carries more than just assignments. It carries names. Names of souls that are waiting for your yes. Names of nations tied to your movement. It holds visions you've glimpsed in dreams and burdens that have sat in your chest for years with no explanation. Now you know why. It's all been preparing you for this hour, this holy unlocking. But here is what you must understand. This scroll cannot remain only revealed. It must be received. It must be consumed. It must be walked out. Heaven does not deliver scrolls for curiosity. It delivers them for execution. And when a chosen one delays their yes, the timeline of heaven begins to quake. Because what you carry is not optional, it's ordered. God is not asking you to be ready. He is commanding you to respond. Because sealed ones who never move eventually become silent ones, and silence is expensive in the kingdom. You've been called out from the noise, from the routine, from the safe and small into divine function. The scroll proves it. As we read in Ezekiel chapter 3, verse 1, he said to me, "Son of man, eat what is before you. Eat this scroll, then go and speak to the people. You cannot speak until you eat. You cannot move until you internalize. This scroll is not a task list. It is spiritual DNA. When you consume it, it changes you. Your preferences shift. Your priorities reorder. Your tongue begins to prophesy what your mind doesn't yet understand. This scroll is alive, and when you accept it, you become alive in a new way. Heaven is not interested in polite agreement. It seeks violent yeses, surrendered yeses, that shake realms and alert angels. When you say yes to this scroll, you will lose some things. The applause of the crowd, the ease of the familiar, the predictability of your current rhythm, but what you gain will outweigh it by eternity. Purpose, power, clarity, movement. And let me tell you why the pressure has intensified recently. It's because the scroll has already been dispatched toward your life. Your spirit has been sensing it, the urgency, the weight, the discomfort in the ordinary. These are not emotional swings. They are prophetic contractions. Heaven has gone into labor to deliver your next assignment. And now, it stands before you burning, breathing, demanding response. Chosen one. If you reject the scroll, something in you will begin to ache, because you were designed to carry out its contents. If you delay too long, your ears will dull, your fire will flicker, and the oil that was meant for this hour may begin to spoil. The scroll doesn't wait forever. The grace window is open, but not infinite. Do not underestimate the authority being placed before you. This scroll is not casual. It's cosmic. It doesn't just change your journey. It alters bloodlines, cancels generational curses, redirects nations. This is why the warfare has been so intense. The enemy saw what was coming. He saw the scroll forming long before you understood its weight. He saw the angel dispatched with your name on it, and he panicked. But he is too late. He couldn't stop the scroll. He couldn't intercept the angel. And now that it is in your atmosphere, he has only one strategy left: to delay your yes. Because delay is the enemy of destiny. If he can't steal the scroll, he'll try to silence the scroll carrier. But not you. Not this time. The time for wandering is over. The time for wandering is over. The time for your spirit to stand upright and say, "Yes, Lord, I accept," is here. There is a specific moment in time when the heavens open. The angels lean forward, and the destiny of a chosen one pivots from potential to reality. This is that moment. There will never be another one like it. There is no rewind. No replay. You are standing in a moment that eternity designed and time cannot delay. You may still feel unworthy. That's common. But let this truth settle your trembling. God does not seal perfect people. He seals surrendered people. The scroll does not require your perfection, only your permission. Chosen one. If your spirit burns in agreement, mark this moment. Comment 999 below. Let it be written in heaven that the scroll has been received. Let it be known in hell that delay has been defeated. Let it be settled in the spirit. You are walking in what was written. Every attack, every betrayal, every heartbreak. It wasn't random. It wasn't punishment. It was preparation. Chosen one. There is not a wound on your soul that heaven has not accounted for. Nothing you've endured has been wasted. Every night you wept in silence. Every time you questioned if you would make it. Every whispered prayer through clenched teeth, it all mattered. Because all of it was training. The enemy thought the blows would break you. But what he didn't see was that every hit only strengthened the infrastructure of your spirit. You didn't just survive, you were being forged. Through fire, through resistance, through spiritual weight that would have crushed anyone else. But not you. You were being sculpted into a vessel that could carry glory. Do you understand now why your life has never been easy? Why the warfare came early? Why the rejection came often? Because the mantle on your life drew attention in realms you couldn't see. Your light disrupted darkness before you even understood how to carry it. You were born marked, born with fire beneath your skin, and hell responded accordingly. You've been misunderstood because your mission isn't common. You've been left out because your life isn't meant to blend. You've suffered loss, not because you were cursed, but because heaven was pruning your surroundings. You didn't lose people, you were delivered from them. Some relationships were never meant to walk with the weight you carry, and God, in mercy, removed them. Your scars are not symbols of failure. They are evidence of survival. Proof that you were in the fire and didn't burn. That you were in the storm and didn't drown. You've been trained in places no one saw. In rooms where your voice trembled. In seasons where God felt silent. But now that silence is giving way to strategy, you know what it means to pray when nothing changes. To obey when there's no applause. To give when your hands are empty. That is the training ground of the remnant. The battlefield where ordinary is stripped away and only purpose remains. You didn't just pass through pain. You were forged by it. As Paul declared in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 8, we are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair. That verse is your testimony. You were pressed, but still standing. Confused, but still faithful. Broken, but still breathing. That's not luck. That's legacy. The legacy of someone who was being trained by heaven while earth tried to silence them. And here is the revelation. God trains warriors in the wilderness. You were never overlooked. You were being hidden for refinement, separated for consecration. If you had been celebrated too early, it would have destroyed you. If you had been elevated without endurance, the pressure would have cracked you. But now, you are ready. The training was brutal, but the anointing it unlocked is undeniable. The way you see is sharper. The way you hear is clearer. The way you discern faster, deeper, more accurate. You're no longer led by noise. You're led by knowing, and that knowing didn't come from a book. It came from battle. You were trained in loneliness, because leaders must stand when no one stands with them. You were trained in silence, because prophets must hear whispers when the world is screaming. You were trained in delay, because those who rush can't be trusted with timing. Look back. Can you see it now? Every attack was a classroom. Every betrayal, a tutorial. Every hardship, a divine course in authority. You didn't just survive it, you mastered it. And now, the oil is flowing from places you once bled. The glory rests where pain once lived. Chosen one. Your training was never random. It was refinement. And what was refined in secret will soon be released in power. You were never being punished. You were being prepared. There are things in your life that have felt stalled. Opportunities that seemed close, then disappeared. Doors that appeared open, only to close without warning. You've looked around, puzzled, praying, wondering, God, what am I missing? Chosen one. It's not confusion, it's confrontation. You are experiencing the consequences of delay, not the kind of delay from outside forces. This is spiritual delay, the kind that creeps in quietly when obedience is postponed. You've been feeling stuck, not because you're under attack, but because something was left undone. Heaven is precise. Instructions are time-sensitive. What you didn't step into, darkness tried to occupy. Make no mistake, delay is not just inconvenience, it's an invitation to interference. When the light hesitates, the shadows don't wait. Every time you held back a yes, every time you rationalized a pause, something sacred was left vulnerable. The enemy looks for voids and disobedience creates them. You weren't created to live in limbo. The fog you've been walking through isn't confusion, it's the spiritual friction of disobedience colliding with calling. The reason your soul feels restless isn't because you're off course, it's because heaven is pressing on you to move forward with what was already revealed. What many don't understand is that delay has a sound. In the spirit, hesitation speaks. It declares, I don't trust the timing. It whispers, I'll obey. But in spiritual warfare, later is a luxury you don't have. Because every moment heaven is silent isn't absence, it's allowance. Space to act. But space shrinks when it's dishonored. You may feel like you're waiting on God, but what if He's waiting on you? It's dangerous to get comfortable in a paused season. What was meant to be a transition becomes a trap. The longer you delay, the more it feels normal. The urgency dulls, the fire softens, and eventually, you convince yourself that silence is approval. But it's not. Sometimes, silence is a warning. Do you remember when Jonah delayed? He didn't deny the call, he just ran from it. But delay in the wrong direction is still rebellion. His delay caused storms for people around him. His resistance endangered others. And when he finally obeyed, the entire city of Nineveh turned to God. Your obedience isn't just about you. It is about the region, the territory, the souls linked to your yes. There are territories you were meant to guard that are now under siege because you paused. There are souls who needed your voice weeks ago, months ago. The scroll has remained open, but the silence from your side has left things unfinished. Yet here is the mercy. Heaven hasn't shut the scroll yet. God is not finished with you. The assignment hasn't been transferred. But you must understand the weight of this moment. Mercy will always fight for you, but it does not fight forever. You are on the edge of divine pivot. You can either respond and realign, or remain and risk spiritual forfeiture. Delays attract darkness because empty spaces are never truly empty. They become battlegrounds. And when a chosen one stays too long in delay, the enemy begins to build in what should have been dismantled. The strongholds you are facing now were not all inherited. Some were built during your indecision. That's why the warfare feels cyclical. That's why the resistance has started to resemble routine. Because the longer you delay, the more the enemy sets up residence. But today, something is breaking. Revelation is returning. The fog is lifting, not because the environment has changed, but because your spirit is beginning to move again. The tension you feel is divine agitation. Heaven refuses to let you settle where delay has planted you. This is the moment to rise and confront what hesitation has birthed. As we read in Hebrews chapter 3, verse 15, today, if you hear His voice, do not harden your hearts. The voice of God still speaks. His instructions still flow, but they are urgent. Today is not casual. It's critical. The longer the heart hardens, the harder it becomes to hear. That is the true danger of delay, spiritual deafness. Delay is not just about lost time, it's about lost sensitivity. You've felt the dulling, the numbness, the inner knowing that something feels off. That's the result of too many ignored nudges. But again, here's the mercy. You're reading this now. You're not too far gone. You haven't forfeited the mission. But you must act. You must move. You must step back into alignment. Not next week. Not tomorrow. Now. You may not know every step ahead, but you already know the last instruction you paused on. Go back to it. Honor it. Obey it. Because clarity doesn't come before obedience, it comes after it. Chosen one. The darkness surrounding you isn't stronger. It's just been given more time than it should have had. But one act of obedience can undo months of delay. One yes can shatter the demonic patterns that formed in your pause. One moment of full surrender can reroute your destiny instantly. You are not a victim of delay. You are a warrior in training. And this moment, this is your turnaround. You've questioned your mind. You've questioned your emotions. You've even questioned your sanity. But not once have you stopped being chosen. And if no one has told you lately, let heaven declare it now. You are not crazy. You are being called. This confusion, this tension, this weight, it's not mental. It's spiritual. What you're feeling is real. And this message is your confirmation wrapped in fire. Chosen one. You've walked through seasons where nothing made sense. You couldn't explain the warfare. You couldn't articulate the dreams. You couldn't tell anyone how heavy it felt just to wake up. But you kept going. And now, the Spirit of God says, you heard right. You felt right. You are not imagining it. I am the one who called you. And if you carry something deep, something ancient, you hear what others ignore. You sense things before they happen. You feel burdens that don't belong to you. And tears have come from places you couldn't identify. That's not dysfunction. That's divine sensitivity. You're not broken. You're marked. You were never supposed to walk like everyone else. You weren't wired to ignore the supernatural. That's why you can't unsee what you've seen. That's why the party life never fit. That's why shallow conversations exhaust you. Because your soul was not created for noise. It was tuned for whispers. The whisper of the Spirit, the tug of destiny, the sound of heaven calling your name through storms, through silence, through songs you didn't understand at the time. And now, the pieces are clicking into place. This is not new. It's remembrance. Your spirit is remembering what it was sent here to do. Every strange dream, every repeated number, every strong pull to separate yourself. These were not coincidences. They were activations. And the enemy's goal has been singular to convince you you're making it all up. Because if he can plant doubt, he can paralyze your obedience. But that lie is breaking now. It was declared in John chapter 10, verse 27. My sheep listen to my voice, I know them, and they follow me. You've been hearing God, even when you couldn't discern it. His voice wasn't always thunder sometimes. It was a longing, a knowing, a stirring that wouldn't leave you alone. You didn't miss it. You're just now ready to walk in it. Chosen one. There are gifts inside you that you've buried because you feared misunderstanding. There are words you've held back because you thought they were too much. But the time of shrinking is over. The world needs what you carry, not in diluted form. Not in silence, but in full fire. You've seen signs. You've felt confirmations. And still, you wondered, Is this just my imagination? No. This is your inheritance. You were not born to drift. You were designed to disturb darkness. And even your confusion has served a purpose. It forced you to seek God with intensity. Yes. You've made mistakes. Yes. You've doubted. But obedience is more powerful than history. And right now, your spirit is being activated again. The fear is breaking. The fog is clearing. Your clarity is being restored not by emotion, but by revelation. You're not just sensing the supernatural, you are part of it. You're not just watching revival, you're the vessel through which it flows. And no title, no platform, no recognition is required. Heaven sees you, and heaven moves when you move. The world has labeled it sensitivity. The church has labeled it immaturity. But God calls it intimacy. He whispers to those who are willing to listen, even when it costs them everything. You've listened. You've felt alone. But you were never abandoned, just hidden. Now, you are being released. And when God begins to confirm what you've been sensing all along, it doesn't just heal your doubt, it sets your feet like fire. Suddenly, your random burdens make sense. Your strange dreams begin to align. Your resistance to culture isn't rebellion, it's refinement. Your spirit knows. Even now, as you read this, something inside of you is rising. You're being summoned to accept what you've always carried, but never had language for. Heaven's frequency is matching your heart. It's time to respond. Comment, I receive clarity. Because confusion was never your inheritance, discernment is. The veil is thinning. What once seemed distant in the spirit is now pressing against your present. This isn't just a feeling anymore, this is movement. Heaven is no longer whispering, it's announcing, and chosen one. The announcement is about you. The timing, the mission, the scroll, the instruction. You are in the middle of divine fulfillment. And it's accelerating. You're not imagining the stirring. You're not fabricating the urgency. It's real. What's been concealed is now being revealed. What's been dormant is being awakened. Because in the Spirit, there is a frequency reserved for the sealed ones, and your spirit has locked onto it. That's why everything feels louder, sharper, heavier, not in oppression, but in purpose. You've been asking for confirmation, but heaven is answering with clarity. You don't need to be convinced. You need to be commissioned. And that is what is happening now. You are being recommissioned for the assignment that has always been yours. But this time, with fire. You cannot go back to shallow waters, not after this. You cannot unhear what your spirit now knows. You've tasted the depth of purpose, and surface-level living will never satisfy again. You are called to walk in clarity, sustained, sharp, supernatural clarity, not fleeting motivation, not momentary hype, but anchored insight that leads to bold, unwavering movement. Chosen one. This clarity is not just a gift, it's a responsibility. Because where there is vision, there must also be precision. And God is giving you both. Your thoughts are aligning. Your patterns are shifting. You're noticing what you used to ignore. That's not coincidence. That's the spirit of clarity settling over your life like a mantle. And here's the truth. Clarity protects. It protects your time, your energy, your discernment. It closes the doors that confusion leaves open. It silences voices that once swayed you. It anchors you in God's frequency, so that the distractions of this world no longer dictate your pace. As Paul reminds us in 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 10, "These are the things God has revealed to us by His Spirit. The Spirit searches all things, even the deep things of God." Laito, this is your season to search the deep things, to live in the deep, to operate from the deep. You are not surface level. Your assignment is not casual. Your calling was never crafted for convenience. It was forged in the eternal mind of God. And now here in time, it's finding expression through you. But here's what you need to understand. Prophetic clarity doesn't grow in isolation. You must stay connected to a well that feeds the fire. You must be rooted where revelation flows freely. This space, this prophetic stream, is one of those wells, not built on noise, built on truth, not hyped by emotions, anchored in instruction. If your spirit has been stirred here, stay connected, like the message, not for vanity, but for spiritual agreement. Share it not just to go viral, but to let it travel, because someone out there needs this word as much as you did. Subscribe so the flow doesn't stop. Let the rhythm of revelation become your new atmosphere. And if this word has fed you, consider sowing into it. Not out of pressure, but honor. Honor always activates increase. What you value, you multiply. And when you invest in the prophetic, you expand its reach. This isn't about growing a brand. This is about building the remnant. The few who hear differently, feel differently, move differently. The ones who aren't swayed by numbers, but by nudges. The ones who understand that clarity is currency in the spirit, and they steward it accordingly. You've been chosen for such a time as this, not to wait for permission, to move in authority. The fog of the past season is lifting, not because you figured things out, but because the Spirit of God has drawn a line and said, "No more delay, no more wandering, no more confusion. You're stepping into light, and the light is revelation." Let this message become your marking point. Let it be the day heaven turned the volume up on your destiny. You are no longer asking, "Am I chosen?" You are now walking as one who knows they've been sent. This is a prophetic space, a spiritual arsenal, a sanctuary of truth in a sea of noise. Return to it when the battle gets loud. Re-watch, re-listen, re-engage. Let these words burn in you until clarity becomes your default, not your exception. The mission hasn't changed, but your sight has. And now, chosen one, go forward with eyes fixed, spirit ready, and vision sharpened. You are not unclear. You are no longer lost in fog. You are sealed, set, and sent with clarity. Heaven is holding its breath in realms unseen. Angels have paused mid-flight. The air in eternity is charged with expectancy, because your next move is not just personal, it is prophetic. You are standing at a precipice, and all of heaven leans in to see. Will the sealed one respond? Will the chosen vessel rise? There is tension in the spirit, but not the kind born from fear. This is holy suspense, a waiting, a watching, a divine anticipation for your alignment. Because in the eternal blueprint, this moment was not only scheduled, it was sacred, not random, not replaceable. You are not one of many. You are one of one, chosen one. You may feel alone in the natural, but in the supernatural, you are surrounded. The cloud of witnesses sees you. The host of heaven knows your name. The angels assigned to your scroll have not left you. They are positioned, ready, hovering, awaiting the echo of your obedience so that movement can begin. And what is at stake is not small. This isn't about a good idea or a convenient opportunity. This is about the fulfillment of a heaven-born instruction, a divine mission that requires your yes in order to activate. Until you move, heaven holds. Until you agree, the dispatch cannot be released. The Holy Spirit is not anxious, but he is urgent. There is a timeline written, and while God is merciful, he is also strategic. Your delayed response creates tension across realms, because your role cannot be duplicated. Your mantle cannot be reassigned without loss. There are consequences when chosen ones grow complacent, not just to you, but to those tied to you. And yet in all this mercy still speaks. The angels have not departed. The Spirit has not gone silent. Why? Because somewhere in your soul, obedience is waking up. Somewhere in your heart, surrender is rising. Somewhere in your memory, the echo of what God first spoke is returning louder than your fears. You are not lost. You are in transition. Not transition of location, but of posture. Your spirit is shifting from hesitation to readiness, from wandering to walking, from delay to deployment. And when that shift completes, the waiting ends. Heaven will move again. Angels will descend again. Assignments will activate again. This is not pressure. This is position. You are being positioned for impact. As we read in Isaiah chapter 6, verse 8, "Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, 'Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?' And I said, 'Here am I. Send me.'" That was Isaiah's response, not because he was confident, but because he was convicted. The same call has gone out over you. The same question is hanging in the spirit. Who will go? And your spirit has been stirring with the answer. Even when your mouth remained silent, chosen one. The war over your next step is real. The battle in your mind, the weariness in your body, the distraction in your surroundings, all of it has been aimed at one goal: to keep you from saying yes. Because when you do, chains break, cycles end, systems tremble, not because of you, but because of the one who sealed you. This is why the resistance has increased, why relationships have shifted, why your sleep has been interrupted, why the old systems no longer satisfy. You are being stirred into action, and everything dormant in your life feels it. When a sealed one prepares to move, everything must either align or fall away. You were never called to carry light instructions. You were marked for weight, and that weight is holy. It presses not to crush, but to confirm. That pressure in your chest, that sense of something needing to break loose, that's heaven pulling on your spirit to respond, not with another delay, but with decision. Do you understand the magnitude of what waits on the other side of your movement? The people you've never met who will find healing through your obedience. The generations after you who will walk in freedom because you refused to settle. The dark spaces that will encounter light because you finally stepped into the fullness of your voice. What you see as a small yes, heaven sees as a global shift. And the angels, they know what it means. They've seen the blueprint. They've read the scroll. And now they wait, with swords drawn, eyes locked, wings poised. They wait not because of weakness, but because God honors partnership. Heaven moves in agreement with earth. And you, chosen one, are earth's agreement in this hour. No one else will take your place. You are not being replaced, you are being refined. This tension is not rejection, it's preparation. Heaven is not ignoring you, it is preparing to release through you. But it can't move until you do. Heaven holds its breath when sealed ones delay. Not because God is uncertain, but because God honors your free will. The angels are not confused. They are waiting for one signal, the echo of your surrender, because the moment your spirit says yes, the entire realm of the spirit unlocks. The time for doubt is over. The time for second-guessing is over. The time for waiting for another sign is over. The signs are here. The word is here. The fire is here. The scroll has already been revealed. What remains is your agreement, not just in word, but in action. Heaven is holding its breath, but it won't hold forever. This moment is sacred, but it is not infinite. The trumpet of destiny is sounding, the scroll is burning, and your angels stand ready. It's time to move. There are moments in life when heaven speaks softly, and then there are moments when it roars. Chosen one. This is the roar. You are no longer being nudged, you are being summoned. This is not another gentle whisper. This is the sound of divine urgency crashing through every layer of your delay, hesitation, and confusion. You know exactly what has been asked of you. The instruction is not unclear. The word has been confirmed. The scroll has been revealed, but there's still something you've been holding back, a corner of your heart, a habit you haven't released, a calling you've only accepted in part. Heaven sees it, and heaven is no longer allowing you to stay in limbo. This is a confrontation not with people, not with the devil, but with your own obedience. God is not asking you for effort. He is demanding surrender, not the emotional kind that fades after a tear-filled prayer, but the kind that rewires your actions, your decisions, your priorities. You've gotten good at spiritual gestures. You've said the right words. You've shown up in the right rooms. But partial obedience is still rebellion in the eyes of heaven. And what's at stake now cannot afford half measures. You are one full yes away from the floodgates opening, and one more delay away from the doors beginning to close. This is not fear-mongering. This is prophetic precision. The Lord is calling you to take the scroll you accepted and begin walking it out in full obedience. Not someday. Now, because until you move, the angels cannot. They are not dispatched by emotion, they are released by action. You were never meant to flirt with your calling. You were created to marry it, to carry it with discipline and reverence, and to carry it publicly. Obedience is not obedience if it only lives in your thoughts. It must live in your life. God is requiring a visible yes, a realignment that shows up in your schedule, your relationships, your finances, your focus. Heaven isn't vague. We are, but not now, not anymore. The pressure you feel is not attack, it is divine compression, forming you into a vessel that cannot be bent by man's opinions. And here is what's dangerous. Too many have confused activity for obedience. You can be busy and still be disobedient. You can serve and still be out of alignment. You can pray with power and still ignore the last instruction. Heaven is not interested in noise. Heaven is moved by precision. As it is written in 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 22, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to heed is better than the fat of rams. You have sacrificed much, but what you've withheld is the very thing heaven now requires, your immediate, full, undiluted, and public surrender. God is not angry with you, He's igniting you. This fire you feel isn't wrath. It's realignment. It's purification. And yes, it burns, but it burns because it matters. You matter. Your obedience matters. Your assignment cannot be left half-finished. You've wondered why the blessings feel delayed, why the visions have gone quiet. It's not because you missed it. It's because heaven is waiting. You've already been chosen. The scroll has already been opened. The angels are ready. But nothing moves until obedience speaks. And when you finally obey, when you walk in what God spoke, watch how fast things shift. The acceleration will make up for the seasons lost in delay. The provision will catch up to every step of obedience. The clarity will flood you the moment your feet hit the path. But obedience must come first. Chosen one, your silence has cost you enough. Your hesitation has held up things that were already yours. Your comfort zone has become a cage. And now, heaven is breaking it open. You were not saved to play it safe. You were sealed to shake nations, to disrupt the patterns of darkness, to say yes when others say not yet. And that yes must come now. You will not be overwhelmed. You will be overtaken. Overtaken by glory, by clarity, by alignment, by divine backup. What God initiates, He funds. What He seals, He sends angels to surround. But first, He waits for your obedience. Comment 444 below. Let this be your signal in the spirit that surrender has finally outweighed resistance. Let it be written that this was the moment obedience came alive. There are seasons when it feels like nothing is happening, when the heavens are quiet, the doors remain shut, and your prayers return in silence. These are the hidden years, sacred, though misunderstood. Chosen one, you have been trained in silence, and heaven has not missed a single moment of it. Obscurity does not mean irrelevance. Being unseen does not mean being unworthy. Some of the most powerful transformations in your life have happened away from crowds, away from applause, away from validation. You've been growing in the dark, not because you were forgotten, but because you were being formed. You've cried for clarity, not realizing that clarity was being built inside your character. You asked God to use you, but before He could release you, He had to prepare the soil of your soul, because a gift that matures faster than the vessel can lead to collapse. And your collapse was never part of His plan. He hid you for a reason. The moments you thought were wasted, they were sacred. That season of delay, that wasn't delay, that was design. Heaven slows time around the chosen so that what they carry doesn't destroy them when it's released. You were not denied. You were protected. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness, not as punishment, but as preparation. David was anointed, but not immediately appointed. He returned to the field while carrying oil on his head. Even Jesus spent 30 years in obscurity before revealing who He truly was. You are not exempt from that divine rhythm. The silence you feared was not God's absence. It was His protection. In hiddenness, you learned how to recognize His voice apart from public noise. You learned how to trust him in loneliness. You discovered your real hunger, not for platforms, but for presence. And that hunger has become the root of your authority. As it is written in Psalm 91, verse 1, "Whoever dwells in the secret place of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty." You've dwelled in that place. Maybe not perfectly, but persistently. You didn't abandon the process. You didn't leave the posture of submission, even when it got heavy. That's why heaven still calls your name with fire. That's why the angels still remain positioned around you. Being trained in silence develops discernment. You now feel when atmospheres are off. You sense when people speak, but carry no oil. You can detect spiritual activity, even when nothing physical is happening. That's not paranoia. That's prophetic maturity. You're not the same person who started this journey. You've been shaped in stillness, molded in the mundane, refined in the quiet. You've learned how to walk by faith, not by sight. You've discovered the difference between hype and holiness. Chosen one. Hiddenness trained your roots, and only what is rooted can rise with endurance. You will not be a shooting star that burns out. You are being released as a steady flame, slow, intentional, unstoppable, because what was built in silence cannot be stolen in noise. The season of silence was not empty, it was sacred. And now, the season is shifting. What was trained in secret is about to be revealed in public. But you won't crave applause. You'll crave alignment. Because silence taught you the value of purity over popularity. And this is why the call on your life is different. This is why God kept you away from platforms too early. Why certain rooms never called your name. Why the promotion didn't come when you thought it would. Because heaven saw what you were carrying and chose to develop you in dimensions others can't see. You are not delayed. You are being delivered into fullness. Not rushed. Not abandoned. Perfectly timed. Heaven never wastes obedience, even when it's done in secret. And when the time comes, when the scroll activates publicly, you'll carry it without compromise. Because silence built your integrity, obscurity sharpened your hearing. The hidden years will become your greatest weapon. You were trained in silence. And now, the Spirit whispers, "Well done, M." There is a moment in every chosen life when time tightens, when grace feels thinner, when the whisper of the Spirit sharpens into an unmistakable alarm. Chosen one. You are living in that moment now. The space for postponement is shrinking. The room for delay is closing. You are standing in the final nudge before divine movement either advances or resets around your absence. This isn't to scare you. It's to awaken you. You have felt the tension, that holy unease in your chest, that pressure in your spirit. Not confusion, not panics, but a divine edge. Something in you knows that this is not just another cycle. This is the line. The place where heaven stops repeating what's already been revealed and waits for your full cooperation. God has been patient. He's whispered through dreams, confirmed through voices, sent signs through creation itself. And yet, here you stand still, hesitating over an instruction already sealed with fire. But hear this clearly, heaven does not beg. It reveals, it releases, it invites. But when the hour shifts, what you ignore today may not be available tomorrow. You've asked for more signs, but heaven is not interested in another round of confirmations. The instruction you've been sitting on is the very thing keeping your atmosphere locked. That small act of obedience you've delayed has created a spiritual traffic jam around you. Because your assignment is not just connected to you, it's connected to the movement of others. The angels have not left, but they have paused. They cannot act beyond what has been agreed upon in the natural. You have the authority to release them through your obedience. Until then, they wait. Not because they're limited, but because God honors your will. He never overrides it. He partners with it. And now, the partnership is pending. You've heard it clearly. You've sensed it deeply. But your delay has been clothed in false logic. It's not the right time. I need more clarity. I'll act when things settle. But chosen one, things will never settle into comfort, because comfort is the enemy of clarity. When heaven calls, it rarely makes sense to the flesh. And the longer you wait for it to feel right, the further you drift from the moment it was right. There is no perfect condition for obedience. There is only response. And right now, response is urgent. The reason things feel heavy isn't always spiritual warfare. Sometimes it's spiritual resistance caused by disobedience. When you refuse to move on what God said, your spirit begins to rebel against stagnancy. That's why peace has been fleeting. That's why joy has been inconsistent. You've been sitting in a season that's already expired. God hasn't changed his mind, but he will change his method. If you won't move, he will move around you. And what was meant to be built through your obedience may begin to shift into the hands of someone else. Not because you were disqualified, but because you delayed too long. As we read in Hebrews chapter 10, verse 36, you need to persevere so that when you have done the will of God, you will receive what he has promised. Notice that the promise follows the obedience, not before, not during, after. And if you haven't received what was spoken, you must ask, have I fully done what he asked? Not partially, not symbolically, but completely. Your next season hinges on your willingness to obey what was last spoken. No new instructions will come until the previous ones are honored. You're not in a holding pattern, you're in a proving ground. This final nudge isn't cruel. It's merciful. It's heaven saying, before I move this scroll to another page, I am giving you one more window to respond. And if you've ever wondered how serious your assignment is, this moment is your answer. The weight you carry is not ordinary. That's why the consequences of delay aren't small. You are a domino in a line of breakthrough for others. When you fall into alignment, others fall into freedom. But if you resist, you hold up the line. You halt the movement. You delay the chain. And heaven takes that seriously. This is why you've been uncomfortable in spaces that once felt fine. Why certain conversations now drain you. Why your tolerance for distractions is dissolving. It's the Spirit agitating your environment so you won't get too comfortable where you're supposed to leave. The nudge is final because the time is full. The womb of purpose is ready to birth. But if the vessel refuses to push, the labor becomes dangerous. You've been pregnant with prophecy, and the contractions are not going to stop until you release what's inside you. This isn't just another message. It's the final contraction. You are being summoned to rise. Not because of fear, but because of fire. The same fire that marked the prophets. The same flame that sat on the heads in Acts. The same fire that consumed the bush before Moses could take a step forward. And now, that fire is surrounding you, waiting for your response. You've already been trained. You've already been affirmed. The heavens have already spoken. The scroll has already been confirmed. And now, the only thing left is your movement. This is the final nudge. There will be no begging, no bargaining, only one truth. If you do not respond now, what was yours may pass to someone who will, not out of vengeance, but out of necessity, because the kingdom must advance, and if the vessel won't move, heaven will find one that will. But you are still in position. The invitation hasn't been withdrawn. The angels are still stationed. The mission is still yours. The oil is still fresh, but not for long. Move. Chosen one. The time of decision has arrived. You've walked through fire. You've endured silence. You've survived delay. But now, chosen one, the time of hesitation is over and the time of coronation has come. You've been trained in shadows, refined in storms. But now the Spirit declares, step forward and choose your crown. This is not a metaphor. It is a mandate in the Spirit. There are crowns reserved only for the obedient, not for the talented, not for the famous, not for the loud, but for those who said yes when it hurt, who stayed faithful when it was dry, who moved forward when everything screamed, retreat. You are one of them. The battles you fought weren't in vain. The weariness you've carried wasn't wasted. Every tear, every loss, every sacrifice, they've all been weaving your royal assignment. Your name has always been tied to royalty. But the crown isn't just handed, it's claimed. And heaven is asking you now, will you wear what I gave you? Because a crown isn't just an adornment, it's a declaration. It announces who you are and what realm you've been given authority over. It confirms your assignment and your accountability. To accept the crown is to accept the cost. But chosen one, to refuse it, is to choose a life beneath your birthright. There are spiritual crowns given for different reasons. Some for endurance, some for overcoming, some for faithfulness. Yours carries all three. You are not being crowned because of what you did in the light, but because of what you endured in the dark. The conversations you didn't post, the prayers no one heard, the forgiveness you offered when no one deserved it. That's what made you eligible. Now the heavens are no longer silent. There is movement. There is rustling in the Spirit. The angels assigned to your calling are holding the crown above your life. They are not waiting for applause. They are waiting for alignment. You've been positioned by pressure, crowned through crushing, prepared through pain. And now, the oil that dripped in the wilderness becomes the oil that anoints you in the open. As James declared in chapter 1, verse 12, blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. Chosen one. This is your reward. Not just because you loved him in worship, but because you loved him in warfare. You stayed when it would have been easier to quit. You obeyed when no one was watching. You didn't need a stage. You just needed his voice. And now, your moment has come. This is not a reward for perfection. It is a recognition of persistence. And that persistence has made you dangerous to darkness. Because your authority is not rooted in charisma. It's rooted in scars. You have been to the depths. And because of that, heaven can now trust you with the weight of royalty. But hear this, crowns are not for display. They're for dominion. You wear them not to look crowned, but to govern. To tear down what must be destroyed. to build what must be restored. You are not just stepping into identity, you are stepping into influence. And with that influence comes responsibility. You must now protect what you've been given. Guard the oil. Honor the crown. Speak with clarity. Walk with purity. Move with urgency. You are no longer in hiding, and that means the weight of visibility will test everything that was built in the hidden place. But you're ready. Not because you feel it, but because you survived what should have ended you. You carry a fire that cannot be faked. And now, that fire will fuel others. You will become a torchbearer, a beacon for those who have no language for their pain yet will find healing in your obedience. You will speak, and regions will respond. You will pray, and systems will shake. You will show up, and atmospheres will shift. Not because of your presence, but because of the one who crowned you. This is the hour to step forward boldly, to move differently, to speak with weight. And if this word confirms what your spirit has been sensing, don't keep it to yourself. Like it so others find it. Share it so others rise with it. Subscribe so you don't miss what heaven keeps pouring. And if this word fed your fire, sow into it. Every gift, no matter how small, stretches this message further so more sealed ones can find their crown. This isn't about fame, it's about fire, and the fire is spreading. Comment, I choose royalty. Because today, you are not hoping for a crown. You are claiming what heaven already wrote in your name. Some assignments carry weight, others carry legacy. Yours, chosen one, carries both. You are not merely stepping into a moment. You are stepping into a movement, one that will ripple far beyond your lifetime. When heaven sealed your scroll, it was not only thinking of you, it was thinking of those who would walk free because of your obedience. This is the mystery of the chosen. What they release outlives them. You've been feeling the pressure not just because of what's on your shoulders, but because of what's trailing behind you. You are the first in your bloodline to carry this mantle. The first to break the cycle. The first to say, no more. And now the generations are watching. You may never meet them, but they are counting on your yes. There are people attached to your obedience who may never hear your name, but they will benefit from your decisions. Chains will break because of what you endured. Families will be restored because of what you forgave. A generation will rise because you refused to stay silent. The ripple effect is real, and it's spiritual. Your yes isn't just powerful, it's prophetic. It says, to the next wave. You don't have to start from scratch. I've cleared the path. That's what legacy does. It builds highways where only footpaths existed. It shatters ceilings that once suffocated entire bloodlines. It becomes a floor others can stand on. You thought you were just surviving, but in the spirit, you were planting. You were sowing in wilderness what others will reap in peace. The nights you thought were wasted in tears, they watered something eternal. The seasons where no one clapped for you, they built endurance that can't be manufactured. The pain that broke you, it unlocked wells of power that now feed your call. As Paul reminds us in Galatians chapter 6, verse 9, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. No, your harvest is not just for you. It's for everyone linked to your timeline. There are people alive right now wandering, breaking, aching who will find deliverance in what you carry, and they don't even know it yet. But heaven does. Every time you wanted to give up, but didn't. something shifted in their future. Every time you stayed when walking away felt easier. A stronghold cracked somewhere you'll never see. You've been part of something far greater than your own story. You've been drafting freedom documents for people you'll never meet. That's what makes this obedience so heavy. It's not just about fulfillment, it's about inheritance. What you obey today builds what others will inherit tomorrow. That's why the resistance has been so fierce. The enemy doesn't just want to stop you, he wants to silence your lineage. He wants to erase your ripple before it starts. But he can't, because you've already crossed the threshold. The scroll is open. The seal is active. The angels are dispatched. The legacy is moving. You may not feel qualified. You may not feel strong. But legacy isn't built on feelings, it's built on faithfulness. The kind that keeps showing up. The kind that says yes, even when it's inconvenient. The kind that sacrifices now for a harvest that may come later. And you, whether you know it or not, have been doing that. You are not behind. You are in the middle of an unfolding legacy. It's messy. It's hard. But it's holy. And when it's finished, it will be undeniable. Heaven never asked you to be perfect. It asked you to be planted. And you have been firmly, faithfully. Even when the winds blew, even when the soil felt dry, you remained. Now, the fruit is coming, and it won't just feed you. It will feed nations, families, generations. You are not just a chosen one. You are a root carrier, a well digger, a chain breaker. And when your assignment is fulfilled, there will be ripple effects echoing through eternity. What you do in the next season matters more than ever. The cost is real, but so is the crown. The burden is weighty, but so is the blessing. This is the legacy moment. Walk in it. And now, the moment has come. The final movement before heaven's pause ends, and your obedience writes the next chapter in fire. The angels have taken position. Chosen one. Not metaphorically, spiritually, literally, eternally. They are standing in formation around you, and they are not moving until you do. You've felt it, that stillness, that holy tension in the atmosphere, that spiritual quiet that doesn't signal absence, but readiness. You are not waiting on God anymore. He is waiting on you. All of heaven has shifted into alignment. Your scroll is open. The weight is real. The silence has spoken. And the next sound to be heard must come from earth. Not in the form of words, but of movement. That movement is what signals heaven. The mission has begun. The hosts of heaven do not act out of pity. They act out of purpose. Your purpose. What has been written cannot be erased. What has been assigned cannot be transferred without loss. But it must be activated. Angels do not move by emotion. They move by divine synchronization. And that synchronization is activated by obedience. You were never meant to walk this alone. From the beginning, there were angels assigned to your timeline, not as decoration, but as defense, as deliberers, as escorts into divine fulfillment. They guarded you in childhood. They shielded you in rebellion. They strengthened you in trauma. And now, they await your commission to move forward with you into full authority. And no, not everyone receives this level of partnership. Angels are not evenly assigned. They are allocated by assignment. And yours, the scroll you carry, the legacy you bear, requires a battalion, not a bodyguard. That's why the warfare has been unique. That's why your presence disrupts rooms. You carry a spiritual frequency that announces war on darkness the moment you enter. This is why heaven has been so invested in your obedience, because it doesn't just unlock your blessing, it releases spiritual strategy through your life. There are regions you will influence, not through position, but through posture. Not because of who you know, but because of who you've become. Every scar has become a weapon. Every delay has become a tool. Every heartbreak, a hammer in your hand. And the angels know this. They were present when it was forged. They've seen your secret yeses, your private battles, your uncelebrated sacrifices. And now they're standing because their orders depend on your decision. The time for wondering is over. You are no longer in the valley of indecision. You are standing in the clarity of revelation. You don't need another prophecy. You are the fulfillment of the last one. You don't need another sign. You are the sign, living, breathing, awakening. And the weight you feel, it is not heaviness. It is holy. You've been called to carry what others could not, to say yes where others said no, to move with heaven's wind when others stood still in fear. You are the answer to intercessions spoken decades ago, the fulfillment of cries from grandmothers and prophets who never saw your face but heard your name in the spirit. The angels have taken position. They are not waiting for another prayer. They are not waiting for another fast. They are not waiting for the perfect time. The time is now. The seal is open. The scroll has spoken. And the throne is waiting for your echo, not just in words, but in movement, in obedience, in sacrifice, in yes. Do not let this moment pass, because what stands on the other side of your obedience is not just your reward, it is your realm. You are not just stepping into destiny. You are stepping into divine territory. Territory that's been locked behind years of resistance. That's why the resistance intensified. The enemy always screams loudest at the edge of surrender, but he has already lost. The heavens are still. The air is charged. The angels are ready. You are the only one left to move. Chosen one. You've reached the end of the scroll, but this is not the end of your story. This is the beginning of divine execution. What heaven has revealed over these 17 sections is not content, it is commission. You've been activated, instructed, and now entrusted. The angels have taken position. The heavens have gone quiet, not out of absence, but in holy anticipation. You are the next move. Earth is waiting for your footsteps. Regions are waiting for your obedience. Legacies are waiting for your surrender. What you do next will echo through time and eternity. If this message has ignited something deep within you, don't let it remain in silence. Like it to affirm your alignment. Share it so other sealed ones are awakened. Subscribe and stay connected to this prophetic flow, because your training doesn't end here. And if you feel led, sow into this word. Not because the anointing needs payment, but because honor opens access. Your seed is not just support, it's an activation. You are investing in fire, in reach, in deliverance for others just like you. Comment 777 below. Let it be your final seal, your public agreement that you receive all that heaven has spoken. The scroll has been read. The weight has been transferred. The fire has been released. Now walk in it.